Okay, guys, if you are joining us here live, hashtag live and smash the heart button. Let me know you're here, but more importantly, let the rest of the group know that this is going on, this free training. I'm going to be asking Nathan a bunch of questions. I've been hiring and outsourcing for the past 7 years. So today, go ahead and bring your outsourcing questions. Nathan is the master at outsourcing. He grew his Amazon business up to $25 million in revenue, and then he sold it. And then he did it again with FreeUp, which is a virtual assistant outsourcing company. And he sold that too. So he grew that to 12 million, and he sold that as well. So Nathan he knows how to do this again and again. And that's why I brought him in here for us today, to be able to know what really works with outsourcing. How do we find good talent? And but before we get it all into that, I want to make sure that, first of all, is my sound okay? Let me know. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Chris. Hey, Tuan. And also, second of all, let's dive right into it. So Nathan, for those of you, welcome to my group. Thank you for joining today. For those of my group who don't know who you are, can you give us like a kind of like an origin on what got you into this whole online outsourcing world?
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having me. So quick clarification, my Amazon business, I sold over $25 million over a 6-7 year period. That business I actually never sold. We dissolved that as the Amazon space became harder and harder, and we started FreeUp, and that took off. With FreeUp, we grew it from a $5,000 investment to $1 million, $5 million, $9 million, $12 million a year by year 4. And that business was acquired at the end of last year. So just wanted to make sure everyone has the facts. But yeah, I mean, I was a broke college kid. My parents were both teachers, and I had a lot of summer jobs, internships that I learned a lot about business, but I also learned that I hated working for other people. And when I got to college, I kind of looked at college as a ticking clock. I had 4 years to start my own business, or I was going to go into the real world and never look back. And so I started hustling and buying and selling people's textbooks, competing with my school bookstore. I eventually got a cease and desist letter from my college telling me to knock it off because I was stealing too much of their business. And that's when I pivoted and I got into selling other products on Amazon, toys and baby products. For whatever reason, I got good at those two categories. And I had a lot of success, but I needed to hire people. I was doing everything myself. It was getting overwhelming, and college kids were pretty unreliable. So I moved into the remote hiring space, the Upworks, the Fivers. And I always wanted a better, faster way than posting a job on Upwork, getting 100 applicants, interviewing them one by one. And so I built my own marketplace, FreeUp, a $5,000 investment where we pre-vetted VAs and freelancers before we let them on. We matched them up quickly. We had great support, and we took it to market with a minimum viable product. And luckily people liked it. And we scaled that business with virtual assistants and with organic marketing, like getting on podcasts and partnerships and networking and content and referral partners. And so we scaled that for 4 years. One of our clients reached out to us and ended up acquiring us, which is a whole nother story we can get into if you want.
Yes, I do want to get into that.
And once we sold that, people started asking us if we could teach them our systems, our processes. So that's when we had the idea to start my new venture, Outsource School, a membership site where we teach people how to master hiring VAs and scale their business with VAs. And we're building some cool SOP building software as well. So that's a short version: books, baby products, FreeUp, and now Outsource School.
Awesome. It sounds like the way you say it is so effortless. Like, oh yeah, like this is, that I did that. So there was a little bit of a struggle. You didn't sell to Amazon, and you did sell FreeUp. But it's like taking, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and especially starting out, there's this huge fear of being able to let go. And I think in the process of hiring and outsourcing, it's one of the healthiest things you can do if you want to step into the role of becoming a boss or being able to step away from doing all of the things. So outsourcing is the first thing that people have to do when they come into like my ecosystem. I teach people how to create passive income with their own simple software like Chrome extension. The first thing they have to do is outsource so that they can start stepping into that role themselves. So a question I want to ask, as a kind of like seasoned outsource person, I still stumble upon, it's still hard for me to go through the process of finding good talent. And is it, I'm like, is it more the pre-work for it, or is it the actual time spent with the interviews, or is it like is it the post work? Like in outsource school, when you're teaching us how to outsource the right way and find the right people, like how is your approach kind of different than like just like, okay, I'm gonna go and hire and it's gonna be on Upwork or FreeUp or, you know, all these places, and I'm just gonna do it. Like that's most of the time the approach that I see. How is it the right way to approach it for you?
Yeah, so we can only teach people what we do, right? And it took us years of making bad hires to come up with a really good hiring process. And we like to break down hiring into 4 parts: the interviewing, the onboarding, the training, and the managing. And I'll kind of give you a sneak peek of one of what I think is the most important part, which is the onboarding, where most entrepreneurs skip it all together or mess it up. And we call it our SICK method, which is SICC. And that stands for schedule, issues, communication, and culture. And the onboarding is all about preventing issues down the line and protecting your investment. So before we hire someone, we teach you to go through the schedule with them. What's the schedule with you? What other clients do you have? What are their schedule? How many total hours are they working? Make sure they're not working 100 hours a week already. And then you go into issues. And there's 5 types of issues: personal, weather, computer, internet, power. And so for each issue, we teach you how to break it down to how often they have the issue, what their backup plan is for each issue, because you don't want to hire a VA that's one issue away from not being able to work for 2 months. And then how are they going to communicate that issue with you? And you set all this up and you get it all in writing so that down the line, you can hold them accountable to it. If they say, hey, don't worry, I have a backup computer, and their computer breaks and they can't work, you can quickly say, hey, we talked about this. You confirmed right here in writing that you have a backup computer, instead of trying to remember some conversation you had 2 months ago. Then we go into communication, what tools you use, how you communicate. We want our VAs on Slack when they're working, messaging us when they start, stop, change projects, how we use email, whatever it is. And then we go into culture, and we teach you how to create a culture, define a culture, hold people to that culture. And after we go through this, and this is a 20 to 40 minute meeting, and it's one of the best investments you can make before hiring someone. It's not a 5-hour meeting. We give the VA a chance to back out, a real chance, because we would much rather the VA backs out if our expectations are too high or not in line than for us to find that out 2 months down the line. And that's a huge issue. So that's just one thing that we teach people that really a lot of entrepreneurs don't do. And when you hear all the horror stories of people that have VAs that disappear or work to clients or don't communicate, or their internet, they lose internet, whatever it is, it almost always comes down to the entrepreneur didn't onboard them correctly. And we almost never have those issues with VAs because our onboarding process is so good.
Oh man, yeah, I think the fears around outsourcing is, one, these people are going to take away, it's going to steal your information, which is one of the biggest fears that I know, because I'm trying to come from the mental approach of my audience. So these are like the pain points that they've told me. So I'm going to ask you those things to break down those objections and fears, because I do believe outsourcing is so healthy for you. And the way that you said with onboarding, what I feel is very particular that's different about it is, yeah, sometimes you do hire someone and they could just be working in a room or from their closet, and their internet speed is X and X. So what we do for us is we do have like, what's your internet speed? And we link them to the internet speed tester so that they can give us that. And then what's your typing speed? We link them to a WPM typing speed test, just like a free one online. And then they give us their information and their screening. I do want to, before I continue questioning, I want to say hey to everyone who joined. Hey, Angelique. Hey, Jim. Hey, Ankita. Ankita, she does hiring all the time. She is the co-founder of a multi-million-dollar company, and she that's what she does. She hires every single week. So Ankita, if you have hiring question, let me know. Hey, Luke. Hey, Jim. Hey, Chris. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Tara. And so one of the questions I want to ask is, when we hire from an agency, is it better to hire from an agency or from an individual person, or does that not matter given your onboarding system? Because what I found is when I hire from an agency and they say, oh, you'll have backup internet, you'll have a backup person, what I find is that the level of dedication isn't there, because if that virtual assistant doesn't work out with you, they just switch that person to another client. So there's really no sense of, there's no consequences to not performing a certain way. They just get switched off. So let me know if like, first of all, am I still on?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And so what have you found to, like, what's your approach to
So
having discipline without having any structure of that?
Yeah. So, and keep in mind, FreeUp is a marketplace, not an agency. So the difference is that FreeUp isn't managing your VAs. There's no FreeUp office. FreeUp's never switching the VAs out on you. You're working with the VA directly. The VA doesn't share your business information with us. So we prefer the marketplaces and working with the VAs directly over the agencies, with the exception of there has to be some kind of big value add. If I'm hiring an agency, I need to know exactly what that value add is. If they're just going to do that upfront, like pre-vetting work, I don't really need that. Our system is good enough where and people that are members of Outsource School, you have our vetting system. So you don't need an agency to vet for you. Now, what does the agency bring to the table? Do they have their own systems, their own process? Do they have a manager? Maybe that's something that you're looking for. You don't want to hire your own manager. But what a lot of agencies do is there's no added value. They're just hiring someone, marking up the price, and you're working with them. And yeah, maybe they have an office and some place for them to work, but I'm a big believer in working remote. Like, I don't really care about those kinds of things. Like I had just sold a company that had 35 remote VAs with no intention of getting an office, and I'm probably never gonna have an office the rest of my life. So for me to say that I don't need an office, but my people need an office is kind of being hypocritical. So you just have to figure out what is the exact value add that the agency is going to bring. And if that value add is worth it to you, then maybe an agency makes sense. If you don't clearly know what that long-term value add is, then you probably shouldn't use an agency. And again, that's just my personal opinion. I can only share the mentality that I take when I'm hiring.
Okay, while you're saying that, I have another great question. But before I ask you that question, it's like, okay, let me hold on to that question. Okay, the first real hire. All right. Hey, Scott. Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm looking this way because of my third monitor, actually. Hey, Drew. Hey, Arthur. Powerful. The book says, hello, Nathan. Hey, guys. Jim helps. He helps entrepreneurs learn how to sell online, high ticket sales. And Scott, he's all about helping entrepreneurs moderate their groups, as well as doing funnels for them. And Glenn Gold, he sells software. So hey guys, if you guys have any questions about outsourcing, let me know. Glenn says #live. Hey, Glenn. My next question, I believe a lot of people don't ask this, but they encounter this. What is the first type of VA should they hire if they are, a lot of them are solopreneurs? And then if they're not solopreneurs, like, what does that value ladder look like to you in terms of, okay, this is the first type of person you hire in order to do this, and then you can scale from there. Don't try to hire your first I'm saying first full-time virtual assistant. Are they bookkeeping? Are they, what is it, managing your calendar? What type is the best type of first hire that you've seen?
Yeah, and you don't need to hire them full time. I've hired with all my businesses, I've made the same first two hires, but I've almost always started them part time and then increased their hours afterwards. And you actually nailed it. It's bookkeeper and the executive assistant. And the reason behind it is I'm not good at bookkeeping. I don't like bookkeeping. Me doing bookkeeping doesn't grow my business, and me hiring an accountant, I'm paying them top dollar. I still want an accountant to do strategy and taxes, but I don't want them to input everything into QuickBooks. And I want to be on top of my books from day one. And I want to be able to make decisions based on accurate numbers. So even before, when I started Outsource school this year, I just because I sold a company doesn't mean that every idea I come up with is going to be good going forward. So I'm still testing it. And I hired a bookkeeper for 5 hours a month before we made any sales, just to get me on top of my books from day one. The second hire that I always make is an executive assistant. So once we started getting sales, I started getting booked on podcasts. I hired someone for 10 hours a day just to get me caught up every morning, to clear my inbox, to do any small tasks, and to book all my podcasts, all my meetings, so that I could do the most important thing right when I woke up. I didn't have to spend an hour or two in my inbox. And to me, those are the two most powerful hires that you can make early on. With FreeUP, I hired an assistant first and then a bookkeeper. With Outsource School, I hired a bookkeeper first and then an assistant. And I'm a firm believer in that. Now, after that, whatever the biggest operation fulfillment thing is in your business, if you're an e-commerce store, it could be customer service or filling orders. If you're an agency, it could be someone to follow your systems and processes, doing whatever fulfillment you have. Fulfillment usually comes afterwards. But if you're a solo entrepreneur, you need an executive assistant. If you don't have an executive assistant, then you are the executive assistant. You need to be able to hire one early on.
Yeah. So, okay, bookkeeper and executive assistant. And you said something that was really interesting. Hey, Naomi. Oh, Naomi has a question. And Hassan has a question. Awesome. Awesome, you guys. Thanks for asking questions. And hey, Michael, thanks for joining. So you said something that was really interesting. You start them at part-time. And I have mixed experiences with starting someone off first part-time. I guess with bookkeeping, that totally makes sense. Executive assistant starting off part-time, I'm getting such, it might be my onboarding, who knows, but I'm getting, if you hire, there's a saying, if you hire someone full-time, you get them like maybe their attention 70% to 90% of the day. But if you hire someone part-time, you're getting their attention very little. And so it's hard to pour all this effort into someone that is kind of partially there. What do you do to make that part-time to full-time transition work? Because I feel a lot of times people do hire part-time and they kind of don't make the most out of that, or they hire part-time and the part-timer just doesn't work out that well because they're not like 100% dedicated to the mission and your cause and your team. How does that work out? How does that journey look like?
Yeah, so first of all, I agree with you. And I, like with FreeUp, we made everyone full-time very quick. With Outsource School, we started off part-time, which is risky because let's say I really liked someone and I went to increase their hours later and they couldn't because they're too full. Then all of a sudden, like you said, I've invested time into someone who's not even working full-time for me. And the reason we started part-time is we didn't 100% know that Outsource School was going to be our next venture. We were kind of experimenting. But the second we launched and we started getting a lot of members, and we have 160 members now, we moved her up to full-time. And fortunately enough, she was able to accommodate those hours and increase, but it could have backfired on us. We could have gone to her and she could have been too full, and then we would have hired someone else full-time. So I do agree, if you can afford full-time, that should be the default. But we have plenty of VAs that are part-time, and it does go down to the interviewing and the onboarding, finding people that can be passionate about something part-time, that can give their A game. And you're setting the expectations up front that, listen, I might be your smallest client, but when you're working for me, I need your A game. And then you're having meetings each week, and we teach you our exact format for how we do meetings at Outsource School. we do meetings every week to keep them engaged, to give them challenges, to give them goals. And we make everything very cut and dry, so we know whether they're accomplishing those goals each week or not. And we can get involved very quickly if they're not. So I agree, default, you want full-time, but I don't want the people listening to think, oh my God, I can't afford someone full-time. I can't hire a VA. That's not the case. You should, even if you can only hire a VA for 4 hours a week, you should do it to relocate those 4 hours from the day-to-day operations to sales, marketing, expansion. And as you grow, increase their hours, or if you can't increase it, hire a second person and diversify. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I absolutely. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Nora. Hey, Michael. Michael teaches people his tribe mindset, mentality, as well as automation. So he's about happiness and mindset. And Brittany, she teaches her tribe how to be able to find out what drives them and get them excited and continuously have them move forward with their goals and their sales. Speaking of that, with sales, let me ask some of the people's question, because I said I would, and I don't want to rush to that. Hey, Naomi. Naomi says, where do you get the best VAs for a reasonable price? I feel like you're biased with that answer.
I know, I'm biased with that. I mean, I'm now a client of FreeUP, which is a little bit weird since I started it, but I have a great relationship with the new owners at FreeUP. I mean, they refer people to Outsource School. We refer our members to FreeUP. Our members don't have to use FreeUP. I mean, there's no shortages of places out there: Upwork, Fiverr, OnlineJobs.ph. There's Facebook groups. Like, there's plenty of places you can go to get a VA. I personally like FreeUP, but you have to remember that I also built FreeUP because I didn't like the other platforms. And so that's why I built it. So I really kind of built my own customized solution. If you haven't used FreeUP, go there, drop my name, give them a shot. If you don't have a good experience, you can always go back to somewhere else. But I think the whole goal is to value your time. And as someone who's really busy myself, I want them to send me 1 or 2 pre-vetted people that I can put through my interview process, rather than going on an Upwork, getting 50 applicants, putting 50 people through my interview process. And there's also other factors, like they have the VA's ID, they protect you if anything goes wrong. If they quit, they cover replacement costs. I know the internal team at FreeUP. I train them myself. They're run by VAs. They're awesome. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Hey, Christy. Hey, Christy and Brittany, they're both in my Ignite program. I have a year-long program where I help people automate their Facebook group and their customer journey. And they're like all for learning about how to automate. And one of the things that I've learned from, I think either Gary V or Dan Martell, he's like, you hire good talent and then you put automations around them, and that amplifies them for the type of hire that they are. So it amplifies their human. So it's like, this is what we have. I feel is a necessary skill to learn to hire the right people, even if, regardless of the platform. And you recommend FreeUps because the difference is you get assigned a person instead of going and interviewing like 50 different people from all over the place. The interview process is, here's your next person that you're going to interview, and here's the next person, and they're vetted for the position that you're looking for. So and you said they cover recovery costs. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if you spend a month training someone and they quit on you in 6 months, they'll cover the first month of the next person.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Upwork doesn't let me do that. I have a question. So when you hire, what are red flags? And I am going through a hiring process myself. So this interview just aligns with what we're doing right now as well, because we're expanding. What are red flags you've seen? And I'll tell you about questions that pop up as red flags for me when I'm hiring. So sometimes I go on their profile and they say that they've been working for a company, or they've been working for the past 10 years as a virtual assistant, and it's like bare. And then I'm like, oh, you just got this profile? So it's a brand new profile. In your experience, does that mean that that's a red flag? Or is it more like, oh, they just work for this big company like Dell or some huge company, and they don't go through Upwork, they don't go through these platforms. And when you're on there, their profile is kind of bare, but it's okay. Like, is that a red flag for you? And what other red flags do you see that you look out for?
Yeah, so I mean, profile is part of it. It's not the biggest thing for us. I mean, we trust our vetting process a lot more than we trust what their profile is. And we've hired VAs that had great profiles that weren't good, or bad profiles that ended up being awesome. For us, it's a vetting process. And we do our interviews via Slack. We don't believe in doing video interviews. A lot of VAs are shy. We would have missed out on some of our best VAs if we did that. Stuff cuts in and out. And also, you're going to be communicating via Slack or via email most of the time with your VA. So you want to interview in the same style that you're going to be communicating with them. So if I'm messaging them on Slack and I'm doing the interview, we call our interview the CARE process, which is communication, attitude, red flags, and experience. And so we look for response time. That's a big thing. If we ask them a question and it takes them 5 minutes to write a response back, we can't run meetings like that. We can't communicate with our VA like that. So VA like that. Next is how well they understand our questions, how well we can understand them. Are they giving me direct responses? And then one of the other big red flags is, what do they actually care about? We try to avoid VAs that care about money over everything else, because there's always going to be a client that can pay the VA more money. But we want them to have an entrepreneur spirit. We want them to believe in self-improvement and growth and learning new things and building stuff and being a part of a team. So that's what we look for. And the red flags are so important, because most entrepreneurs, they look for just the right answers. And that's when you get BS'd a lot. During the entire interview, and we teach this at Outsource School, we want you to be looking for, what is this person saying that shows they don't have the experience they say they have? They can't communicate in the method that I need them to in my company, or they don't have the attitude I want in my business. And that should be your mentality throughout the entire interview.
Oh, that's so good. That I'm going through I've done several interviews this week, and there are people who talk about their hobbies, and while they're talking about what they're interested in, and I do a video, so maybe I should switch to Slack. So that's also something that you said that was like, wow. Okay.
Off of that, real quick. So I'm not saying that at the end of your interview or before the interview, you can't hop on video for 5 minutes and say hi and meet them face to face. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But unless you're having the VA do voice calls, or you're doing a lot of videos all the time, then I would definitely avoid that, because you're going to get people that are good at video, but not necessarily good at Slack and email. And you're going to get VAs that are very shy on camera that really are great VAs, but they don't perform that well while you're interviewing them.
Oh, okay. All right. That totally makes sense. You don't want to miss out. You kind of want to get the whole gamut of people who are more shy, but could be really good bookkeeping assistants. So not everyone, it's kind of like, not everyone uses every platform. You kind of go where, you know, the type of personality, you don't want to miss out on that type of talent because you prefer video. Doesn't mean they prefer video, even though they're good at their job. That's a really good point.
Right.
And that's amazing. I feel like I should change my onboarding to Slack. Before we continue, I want to ask some audience questions. They start pouring in some more. So this is a really good question by Jim. And a lot of my audience, they are coaches, they're course creators, they're affiliate marketers. And when they're thinking of hiring, they're not looking for like bookkeeping right away, although that's one of your recommended hires. They're thinking, hey, how do I get more clients? Well, who do I hire so I could get more clients? So Jim's like, my goal is to bring on more coaching clients. How could I best use a virtual assistant to help me with this?
Okay, so this is the cool thing about Outsource School. Once we teach you the fundamentals, which is interviewing, onboarding, training, and managing, then it becomes fun. Then we teach you the exact organic marketing playbook that we use to grow FreeUp. We spent almost no money on ads, and we grew FreeUp from podcasts, from partnerships, from lead generation for influencers, and through networking, through an affiliate program. And we teach you how to do all of this where the VA does 90% of it and you show up and do the last 10. So if you're not going on podcasts or Facebook Lives or summits now, I recommend you start. It's a great way to get in front of thousands of people at once. It's good for relationships. It's good for SEO and backlinks for your website. And it has a snowballing effect that leads to bigger and bigger opportunities. And so we teach you, we have this playbook called the podcast outreach formula, which teaches you how to wake up every day to a list of podcasts from your VA that are relevant, that are in your space, that you can quickly reach out to. And I do one podcast every single day. And if you talk about what's one of the best ways that we get brand awareness and get clients, that's one of them. We also have the partnership playbook, which teaches you how to find other people in your space and form partnerships with them where they'll guest post for your blog and vice versa. You'll do a live together like we're doing. I've done VIP networking events together, co-sponsored. That's on the high end, but it can be a lot of free content. And again, your VA is running all of this. You might need to hop on the phone and form the relationship, but your VA does the research. We have a lead generation formula we teach that to help do that. Then your VA organizes these partnerships, reaches out to them every 6 months, every quarter, however you set it up. So that's what I would do is I would focus on, hey, do I have an organic marketing playbook in place that's run 90% with VAs? And that's what we teach you how to do at Outsource School. But if you don't know how to interview, if you don't know how to onboard, if you don't know how to manage and train, all that becomes a lot more difficult. So if you already know how to use VAs, you can jump in and take our playbooks and apply them right away. If you don't, then we recommend you learn the fundamentals, and then it becomes a lot of fun with the organic marketing playbook.
Yeah, I think specifically what he might ask for is like, and I'm gonna say it's coming from a place that you are, because Jim, he's new to the like building out like an outsourced team. He's kind of new to that. He crushes it with one-on-one sales. He has like an over 80% close rate for high ticket sales, like in the 5 figures. So he does pretty well just as a person who will pick up the phone and close and serve his people. So what he's coming from is like, hey, how can I get more clients? And what I extract from your answer is one of the best ways to get more clients is to use podcasting, is to have people guest blog you, but kind of like be in front of someone that already has somewhat of an audience, or they themselves are an influencer, where they have a team, they have the resources, and you're in front of them, and they're the best, most qualified people to go into your world because they have the funds, they have the resources, and they're being interviewed for your podcast. So it's like be in front of the people who are more qualified, and then have those conversations, because those type of conversations would lead to more sales. And then have that process be handled in terms of like booking the interview, creating the JV affiliate short link, and all like that whole process be handled by the virtual assistant 90% of the time. And you have the step-by-step, the playbook guide to do that.
Yeah, and if you're just focused on single leads, like we have the lead generation formula, and you can have a VA that does research and helps you set up the phone calls. And then you can have the VA that actually schedules your meeting, does the appointment setting. You can have a VA that pre-qualifies them before they even get on the phone with you so that you're only doing the higher level calls. I even trained a VA at FreeUP to take phone calls for me. And that's obviously not where I would start, but once you get more comfortable with it, it is possible where you have VAs that are closing sales for you. And eventually you don't want to be the only one in your business doing sales. So it's kind of up to you whether you kind of just push the VA to the front end of your sales process, whether you hire other US salespeople and push the VAs to the front, or whether you have the VAs actually do sales calls with you. And maybe you start them off with some of the easier calls or lower ticket, and then increase their confidence and bring them up. But that's why I love hiring from the Philippines. I mean, they speak English at a high level. There's lots of people that do sales in the Philippines. Like I know it can be done at a very high level. I've done it myself. I've seen other clients do it.
Yeah, I think what's so valuable about what you know is you know the whole gamut of what's possible. just like if someone comes into Chrome Boss, I tell them, hey, I know a lot of Chrome extensions and what you can possibly do. And that just the possibility is, and saying, oh, wow, I can do that, opens up this whole world for them to go and pursue that. So I think the blind spot between what most people don't know and what you know is what's possible. And what's possible is you're saying, hey, a virtual assistant from the Philippines can qualify your people for you, even on the phone calls, because they speak English really well. And they have, a lot of them have good backgrounds in sales. So you don't have to necessarily kind of like blow your budget hiring this huge full-time salesperson. You could have that be and introduce someone who's a virtual assistant from the Philippines, teach them how to pre-qualify through Zoom, and then they can even go and book all of the interviews for you, show up to the interviews, be in the interviews, or be in your sales call to learn sales from you. And all of that is possible. And you've seen that possible with your clients as well as yourself. And I think that is huge. I think that's a really big thing for people to feel like that, you know, that they can do that themselves. Because I, part of me, there is a part of me that's like, oh man, I can sell, but they can't really sell like I sell. Or like, and especially when I teach someone to sell, it takes a lot of training and a lot of time. And what I'm looking for when I think about purchasing a program to help me with that process is that what are all the possibilities, and these are the things that is possible for me as a solopreneur. So that's kind of like, I don't know what, that wasn't a question, but I kind of want to share like, oh, this is the mindset that they probably go through. Hey, Lyle, thanks for joining. Hey, Hassan. Oh, Hassan has a question. How do you determine what's a reasonable rate to pay your virtual assistant? What's your answer for that?
Yeah, $5 to $10 an hour is reasonable. For most tasks, 5 to 7 is pretty reasonable. We recommend giving bonuses every 6 months and raises every 6 to 9 months. And those raises 50 cents to $1 per hour. So that's very reasonable. If you find someone who does phone calls, they're probably closer to 10, and some are higher level tasks as well. But 5 to 10 is a good range. That doesn't mean you can't get some VAs cheaper. Doesn't mean that some won't be more expensive. I mean, we had team leaders that we eventually paid over 20 bucks an hour, and we had their pay go up as the business grew. But that 5 to 8, 5 to 10 is a great ballpark.
Oh, that's a really specific answer. I really like that. I don't know. I thought you might say, you know, you should pay them what they're worth, or, you know, something, but you're like 5 to 10. Okay. Yeah. And that's my experience too, Hassan, just so you know. I see $5 to $10 an hour as really reasonable for hiring someone from the Philippines. And they have sales background. They've been selling for years. They have customer service support. They know Slack, they know Zoom, they know ClickFunnels, they know all of that. And yeah, they're at the $10 an hour, $5 to $10 an hour, and they can show up, and they have a microphone, and they speak English really well. So what I found is that there are more options in terms of hiring online than you can possibly imagine. And if you don't go and do the interview, put in the processes, it's such a big disservice for yourself, because you're sitting there thinking, oh, I have to do everything, and it's so hard, and trying to get sales is such a daunting thing when you are starting out. So I'm talking to the people who are like looking at it like, I'm totally new. What should I do? All right, so let me see what other questions you guys have. Naomi says, what's FreeUp's average pay per hour? So that's a question you will know.
Yeah, so FreeUp's a marketplace that the VAs and the freelancers set their own rates. They have people from $5 an hour to $100 an hour. If we're just talking about the VAs, that 5 to 10, 5 to 7 range that I gave before, you can find a very good VA on FreeUp. And you can negotiate rates. You can agree to fixed price. Again, they're a marketplace.
Yeah. What are some of the, in your experience, what's the difference between someone being able to successfully hire someone to sell for them and with them, like hiring a sales VA? Because sales is the lifeblood to a lot of my tribe's businesses. What have you seen that works in terms of like finding someone to sell with you and upsell with you?
So you need to know, you need to have a very good sales process where you're already having a high percentage, where you have canned responses for your pitch, you have your pitch down, and you also have the most common objections, the most common answers that people ask down. And that means you can write all these out. Then, and I'm actually, it's funny, I'm writing a customer service playbook right now, and customer service, depending on how you look at it, sometimes mingles into sales, but I teach people how I trained a phone call VA for customer service, which is very similar how I trained him for sales, because that person also did sales phone calls. And you're going to create those canned responses, test them yourself, write them down, give them to your VA to study. You're going to record yourself doing phone calls with a client, multiple clients. You're going to give that to the VA to watch. Then you're going to do calls with your VA via Zoom, where you pretend to be the client, they pretend to be the client, you go back and forth, so they learn that way. And then finally, you get the VAs on the phone with clients, recording those calls for you to listen to and give feedback. And it's a gradual, progressive thing. And it's not something you should do right away. If you haven't mastered your sales process, if you're just doing it because you don't want to do sales, you don't like sales, it's probably not going to work out for you. You have to figure out sales first. And it should honestly be one of the later things you outsource in your business.
The later things to outsource. The first few things are bookkeeping, executive assistant, and sales is probably after you have honed in on your on all the objections on and figure out how to reply back and document all of that, and then give that to them. And then later on, have them sit in sales calls, and then they're more used to it. So it is, it's a process. Definitely. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this interview so far, smash that heart button. Let me know that you're here. And if you have any questions, now is the time to ask about outsourcing. I am using this time to ask all of my own questions as well as your guys' questions. And I feel like you don't know what you don't know. And the best way to get the answers are straight from the people who have done it. And in this case, it's Nathan. Let's see what other questions that you have asked that I might have skipped over. All right. Well, I do have a gift for my audience if they go and they take outsource school. I feel like just from what you told me today, the little things such as, hey, we interview through Slack, like that's something that I didn't even think about. Or the first hire, it should be this, or like it's very specific. The type of good rates that you can find are $5 to $10 an hour, and you should give them a raise every 6 to 9 months, 6 to 10 months. And each raise, yeah, and each raise is 50 cents to $1 for the hour. So it's like super specific responses to my questions, and I think that's really valuable. The thing I fear is that I don't want to, it's like I feel the world of hiring is so vast, and so it can be so complicated, but at the same time it can be so like you get what you get and you just have to go through it, and it's scary, but you just have to do it anyways to grow. And if there is a way to make it easy, to make it feel like, okay, I can do this, and here's the way to not have costly mistakes, then it's something that I believe every entrepreneur should learn from the very beginning of their journey, because then they can scale the right way versus stumbling through a lot of bad hires and then like tragically quitting on their journey, or getting so emotionally frustrated that they don't pursue that bigger vision for themselves. So I'm glad that I'm so just happy that you put Outsource School together, and I kind of want to show them what is my bonus. So for every single what is it? For my audience, I want to add like a sweet thing on top of what they're already learning. So if you guys do get Outsource School, I'm going to include my 30-day step-by-step Chrome Boss action plan for you to, it's 30 days and it's detailed, it's step-by-step, how to go from nothing to having the guide to having your own simple software and getting income from your own simple software. Now, this journey, it answers the problem of how do I start making income online? And it also answers the question of okay, I want to get into software. What does that look like on a micro level that I'm getting from zero to cash flow? Like that's my goal, from zero to cash flow. So you're going to get the 30-day step-by-step Chrome Boss guide, as well as my software, QuickLinkConvert. It's getting more popular. I want to just share my screen real quick. It's getting more popular and I feel like not a lot of people know about it, but people are subscribing to it. It's right here at QuickLinkConvert. And just to give you a quick demo, I know when you have virtual assistants and you have a team that you guys store links all over the place in a bunch of different Excel sheets, right? Or you go to ClickMagick or Link Wizard or all these sites. So this Chrome extension is very simple. It lets you pull all the links from a unified Google Sheet based on a keyword. So all the short links that you have, every single link that you have, you can just vomit it onto a Google Sheet, a Google document, and it will pull all these links into your screen. And you can add links. So you can like wait, let's see. nathanhirsch.com. And then I'll just like Nathan here, something like that. You click save. When you click save, it shows up when you type Nathan, and you can back up all your link by going here and pushing all the data to the Google Sheet. So now if I type Nathan here, it shows up down here. So your team, if they go and they pull the links from here, like pull all the data, then when whatever update happens here, it will sync up to your Chrome extension across all your team members. So this will really help with your outsourcing life, as well as just your online, like, hey, what's your affiliate link for this and that, Kim? I'm buying Active Campaign. What's your affiliate link? Hey, do you know how to get, I think I have a FreeUP thing here. This is when we did our first interview, Nathan. I'm like, oh, you could get $25 credit on FreeUp. I know you gave me a coupon code, but I also have this $25 credit for my own people when they first start hiring. Here's like $25 to hire on FreeUp. So I have been using this. I use this every single day, and this is a gift for my audience if you do get Outsource School. And Nathan is so kind to show up today and answer your questions. Would you be able, if they have more questions, is it okay if they can leave it in the comments, and then we'll be able to like answer whatever other questions they have after this interview, if they have any questions about Outsource School?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a discount that we're going to give too for the next week. If you use Kim25, you're going to get 25% off Outsource School. The way it works is it's $9.97, but you get a 25% off coupon. You can also split it up into 3 monthly payments, no interest, if you want to pay $250 a month for 3 months. And that gets you access to our Cracking the VA Code course, which is our exact interview, onboarding, training, and managing process. We have cheat sheets that give you the exact questions to ask, the exact questions to use for onboarding, how we run meetings, how we do a bonus and raise program, how we fire VAs, how we handle issues, how we promote team leaders. And then with that, you also get a $50 free up credit. You get access to our Facebook group, which is all Outsource School members. Then you also get every single mini course and playbook that we come out with for the next year. We have playbooks on customer service and bookkeeping and podcasts and partnerships and how you use VAs for all of these things. So Again, normally it's $9.97. If you use Kim25, you put the coupon in right there, you get 25% off. You can click 3 payments if you want to split it up into 3 monthly payments. You also get Kim's bonus and a $50 FreeUP credit to get going. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to adding a lot of value to your audience. And we also have a 30-day money back guarantee. I mean, we're only interested in adding a ton of value. And I didn't even mention the SOP building software that we're building that our members will get free access to as well.
What? We get access to free software too? That is awesome. I do. There are some questions in the comments as well I want to ask, but just so you guys know, the link that I posted is the short link. If you click on that link, you will be led to here. This is the page to get Outsource School. For those who are in Ignite, which is our year-long program where we help you automate your Facebook group and sell out your offers to your Facebook group. If you do get Outsource School, we help you with of course, team building. So we'll be helping you with the process as well. So it's not just, if you are in Ignite, it's not only the course, I wouldn't say only, it's the course, the software, and our help with you in terms of building out your team. So with this, here you go to my link. And then once you come here, you can watch this video or you click on get the course. And then you type in Kim25 here to get 25% off, 25% discount. And then how to get the bonuses. So this is important. Go to, I'm going to drop the link as well. You can either email support@kimcdang.com and in the title, write Nathan bonus or outsource bonus. And then if you don't want to just email directly, go to support.kimcdang.com and click contact. And in the subject, write Nathan bonus to grab your bonuses for Nathan. Otherwise, we will be monitoring those who do go through and purchase. And we do have your email. And this is a way for you to grab your bonuses a little bit more quickly as well. And what are the bonuses? The bonus is the 30-day step-by-step Chrome Boss guide on how to go from zero to cash flow with your own simple software business so you can start your subscriber journey. What I've noticed, Nathan, is that same thing with Franco. He has a successful digital agency. And he's like, Kim, you know what happens to us entrepreneurs? I'm like, what? He's like, well, I'm getting into Chrome Boss because we build out teams and revenue streams, and then we eventually get into software. And that's why he launched his own software recently. And he gave me a testimonial for Chrome Boss. But I'm like, oh, that's kind of maybe that's the trend. That's what I see. And when you're like, hey, you get access to our SOP software too, I'm like, oh, Nathan is Nathan is going into the software route as well. So it makes me feel like, yes, software. All right. So you guys know, this is how you get the bonuses. This is how you sign up for his cracking the VA code. Nathan knows how to do this. So get into Outsource School so that your journey isn't going to frustrate you, isn't going to make you turn off this life that you could have with this bigger version of running your own team. So you can step away and you don't have to do every single little thing. Let me see. I do have, before we go, just answer a couple quick questions. Powerful, the book says, Nathan, what would you say to us that have been thinking about during this session? What do you say to us that have been thinking about during this session? What do you want to emphasize? Great question. What should we be asking that we don't even know we should be asking? Okay. All right. Oh, how would you answer that, Nathan?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's so much that goes into interviewing, onboarding, training, and managing. I mean, we wouldn't be able to cover it today. I mean, a good thing that we didn't talk about is creating SOPs, standard operating procedures. And I mean, I just sold a company, and when we were going through due diligence, they asked us for our SOPs, and we're going to teach you how we create really good SOPs that make your business sellable, even if you don't want to sell your business. So all that stuff is really important, and it's not stuff we have time for in this video, but there's so much in cracking the VA code that is valuable to help you take a step back out of the day-to-day and make your business sellable.
And I do have one last question, and it's a question for me. You sold your business to a client of yours. Is it because you're like, hey guys, I'm trying to sell my business, or is it your client coming to you that's like, hey, I want to buy your business? Because you touched upon it at the very beginning of our interview, and I'm like, yes, I do want to ask you about that. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, they reached out to us and they said, hey, we love FreeUP. We've been using it for a year. We bought a bunch of companies. We want to get into the VA freelancer space. We don't want to build it from scratch. And they ended up making us an offer, and we thought it was more than fair, if not aggressive. They did a lot of due diligence on us. We did a lot of due diligence on them to make sure that they weren't going to drive into the ground, that they treat people well, that they weren't going to hurt our relationships. From there, we took $500,000 from the sale and gave it to our team in the Philippines to make sure that they were taken care of, and we made sure their jobs are secure and their bonus and raise programs were in place. And we made that decision. We really felt like it was a win-win-win for everyone. And I mean, so far we've been happy with it, and the new owners are great. I mean, we have a great relationship with them. They're obviously going to make changes to the business if they want to scale it. That was necessary. And they've been running these changes by us, which honestly, they don't really have to do. And they've just wanted our input on it. So it ended up working out really great. Now the key is we didn't go into 2019 saying, hey, we need to sell this business by the end of the year, but we built the business to be sellable from day one by having really good SOPs and a really strong team of virtual assistants.
Yeah, and what they're buying into is as well the subscribers who are paying every single month to use your use that service as well, right? Like all the subscribers that you have who are, I call them subscribers, but you know they're paying to hourly for the VAs, and that list as well. Getting into that, I'm like, it's the same vein as how I love doing projects. I look for projects that are about software so that there are people to grow that ecosystem, and there's monthly reoccurring revenue that is injecting in every single month. Okay, so anyways, I'm like, okay, if someone approached you, then that's like, you know, luck. But then as well as they probably approach you because you set it up the right way so that they don't have to feel like scared when they purchase your business. It's pretty solid with your 30 plus employees. All right, so with that said, that's it. Can you tell my audience where they can go to find you? If it's not just purchasing Outsource School.
Yeah, I'm one of the easiest people to contact. Nathan Hirsch on Facebook or LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me. If you have any questions about becoming a member or outsourcing in general, feel free to PM me. Instagram, Twitter, Real Nate Hirsch. Yeah, go to Outsource School, check out becoming a membership. You can also click shop and see all this stuff, all the different courses and playbooks that we have, and you get access to all of them as a member. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, and you're going ham on LinkedIn. I saw that you're like, I'm going live on LinkedIn every day, guys. I saw that.
That's not me. I just did a live yesterday, but I do post on LinkedIn every day.
Oh, okay. And you feel like LinkedIn is a platform that works really well with the direction that you're going, because you're doing Facebook, you know, actually you're doing like a podcast a day, right?
It's hashtag be everywhere, right? I never want it to be one channel where I'm like, oh, Nathan is only here because what if I get shut down off that channel? Like, what if I get kicked off, whatever. So, but I set it up so my VAs, they book the podcast, they help me write content, and they do all these things so that I just kind of show up or I copy and paste stuff. And it seems like I'm doing a lot and I'm everywhere at all times, but really I'm just doing that last 10% and the VAs are doing the rest. And we're going to teach you how to do that same thing with Outsource School.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nathan. Thank you for showing up today. And guys, get Outsource School. Do it the right way. Don't get shut down on this journey by all the frustration that you can encounter with outsourcing, because it's real. So save yourself all that heartache, all that pain, and get Outsource School. You'll get my bonuses, which really align with Outsource School. And follow Nathan. He is, what I really love about Nathan is that he have sold a company for 8 figures, and he's doing all these things at the same time. Like, he's super humble and he's really kind. And when I reach out to him about like virtual assistant stuff, he's there to help me. And I feel like he's approachable. I can connect with him, and he sold a company for 8 figures. So it's like, cool. That's why I have him in my group, and that's why I recommend him, because he has a really good heart. And yeah, and it shows. So thank you so much, Nathan, for coming into my
I appreciate you having me, and you're awesome, and we'll stay in touch, and I look forward to really helping your community.
All right. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.